From May 8 to June 8, Pope Leo XIV has quietly reshaped the tone of the papacy, not through grandiose declarations, but through tender, human gestures. On the night of his election, the 69-year-old Chicago-born pontiff emerged on the central balcony of St. Peter's and spoke two simple words, "Peace be with you," inviting that peace to resound in your hearts, through every nation, signaling a papacy focused on grace over grandeur. Over the next 4 weeks, a cappella hymns, surprise blessings, quiet prayers at Pope Francis' tomb, all small, deeply personal moments that are touching hearts and restoring hope across the faithful. 1. Peace be with you. A shepherd's first words. May 8, 2025, after the white smoke signifying a new pontiff rose from the Sistine Chapel, the world waited in hushed anticipation. Moments later, a 69-year-old American-born shepherd stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's. In that iconic first appearance, Pope Leo XIV greeted the crowd with warmth and simplicity, "Peace be with you all." Echoing the words of the risen Christ, the Good Shepherd who laid down his life for the flock. Then he added a prayer, "May this peace resound in your hearts, in your families, among all people, in every nation and throughout the world." This wasn't mere ceremonial rhetoric. His invitation to peace was intimate and far-reaching, rooted not in papal pomp, but in the pastoral call to bring Christ's peace into daily life. His words affirmed that his priority as Pope would be the spiritual and emotional well-being of each person, families and individuals alike. The effect was immediate. Hundreds of thousands in St. Peter's Square shifted from wonder to deep emotional connection. They heard not a distant prelate, but a loving pastor who says peace like a blessing to each heart, echoing across the plaza and the globe. In choosing "Peace be with you" as his inaugural address, Pope Leo not only aligned himself with the heart of the gospel, Christ's first appearance to his disciples after the resurrection, but also set a tone for his papacy. A tone of gentle dialogue, humble solidarity, and love. Rather than asserting authority, he reminded the faithful of a shepherd's mission, to bring peace that is unarmed and disarming, humble and persevering, a peace rooted in God's unconditional love. And all this in less than a minute. With two simple words, Pope Leo XIV declared his heart, and our journey, begun. 2. A servant, not a sovereign, inaugural mass humility. It was around May 18 to 19, 2025, when over 200,000 pilgrims, accompanied by world leaders, dignitaries, and representatives from Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, and other faith communities, filled St. Peter's Square to witness Pope Leo XIV's inauguration Mass. In words echoing both humility and courage, he engaged in prayer at Peter's tomb before addressing the crowd. "I was chosen, without any merit of my own, and now, with fear and trembling, I come to you as a brother who desires to be the servant of your faith and your joy, walking with you on the path of God's love." He didn't speak as a ruler, but as a pilgrim, a fellow disciple. By calling himself a brother and a servant, Leo XIV set a new tone, one where authority isn't wielded but offered in solidarity and humility. He went on to say that love and unity are the mission entrusted to Peter. In a world scarred by division, hatred, violence, prejudice, fear, environmental degradation, Leo insisted that the Church be a leaven of unity, communion, and fraternity. Drawing on St. Augustine, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in God," Leo reminded the faithful that only love rooted in the divine can heal broken hearts and fractured societies. He described the Church's authority as not dominance, but service, through self-sacrificing love, like Peter himself. With those words, Pope Leo XIV didn't just inaugurate a Mass, he inaugurated a new model of leadership, one marked by service, by walking with the flock, not standing above it. Next, let's hear how he let his voice lead, not just words, in his first Sunday prayer, the Regina Caeli. 3. Singing with joy, first Regina Caeli. On the second Sunday of May, just days after his election, Pope Leo XIV once again appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's to lead the Regina Caeli. But this was no ordinary recital. Instead of a standard prayer, the Pope began chanting the ancient Marian hymn a cappella, his clear, melodic voice carrying across the plaza. It was a beautifully human, unscripted gesture that caught everyone by surprise. At 69, his energetic voice rang out with joyful confidence. No microphone trickery, just the pure power of his own voice inviting the faithful into a moment of intimate worship. The result? Thousands responded, cheers, tears, spontaneous applause. Here was a pope who wasn't distant or wooden, but warmly fatherly, chanting, smiling, connecting. He opened with a personal greeting, "Dear brothers and sisters, happy Sunday." Thanks to Vatican sources, we know he framed this moment as a gift. The first Sunday of his ministry falling on Good Shepherd Sunday, reminding pilgrims of Christ who knows and leads his flock. He didn't stop at melody. With courage rooted in joy, he then pivoted to pressing global issues, praying for peace in Ukraine, Gaza, and around the world, calling for an end to war and humanitarian compassion. All woven seamlessly into that simple Sunday devotion. That single Regina Caeli performance showed a pope who leads with heart, a man unafraid to sing, to pray aloud, to turn prayer into prophecy. This fatherly warmth, his joyful voice, and his sudden request for global peace, everything in those minutes revealed Pope Leo XIV's pastoral style are approachable, fearless, and rooted deeply in faith. Up next, we explore how he blessed mothers on their special day. A blessing for all mothers. Immediately following the Regina Caeli, Pope Leo XIV took a moment that resonated deeply with the faithful, an unscripted blessing for mothers. He paused, looked out over the throng, and said with warmth that echoed in every heartbeat, "Today, in Italy and in other countries, we celebrate Mother's Day. I send a warm greeting to all mothers, with a prayer for them and for those who are already in heaven. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers." These few heartfelt lines, delivered with his broad smile and sincere tone, brought the crowd to its knees, tears of joy, applause, even children's laughter. Pilgrims felt seen, honored, and deeply valued. It was a small moment, but it spoke volumes. In acknowledging both living mothers and those who've gone before, he showed compassion, sensitivity, and deep awareness of the joys and sorrows woven through motherhood. In that instant, Pope Leo demonstrated a core aspect of his pastoral vision. Noticing that little ones, affirming everyday human experiences, and lifting hearts with simple yet potent gestures of love. It was a moment that transcended ceremony. It was a blessing, a prayer, a gentle declaration. Under Leo XIV's guidance, the Church cares for every woman who nurtures life. Next, we'll see how he became a shepherd among the people, personally blessing the youngest among them. 5. A shepherd among the flock, first general audience. May 21, 2025, just over 2 weeks into his pontificate, Pope Leo XIV returned to St. Peter's Square for his very first Wednesday general audience, greeted by an estimated 40,000 faithful. Climbing into his Pope-mobile, he began a deliberate, unhurried tour through the crowds, his welcoming wave sweeping across the sea of pilgrims, interspersed with flags and cheers. As he paused, he reached out. He touched foreheads softly, blessed babies held aloft, and traced the cross on tiny brows, each gesture for each soul. This was no distant pontiff, but a shepherd shepherding his flock in the most tender way. Some stood on tiptoes, others lifted children high. Families laughed, tears glistened. In these quiet, personal touches, Pope Leo showed that his mission is not only to preach, but to personally embrace his people. Once he reached the stage, he launched his Jubilee catechesis onto Jesus Christ, our hope, reflecting on the parable of the sower. But first, he personalized his welcome, speaking directly in English, then Spanish and Italian, acknowledging pilgrims from Nigeria, the US, Latin America, and beyond. His remarks didn't stop at words. At the close, he renewed his heartfelt appeal for peace in Gaza, reminding us that a shepherd's heart is always tuned to suffering and solidarity. In these moments, blessing babies, greeting pilgrims, speaking tenderly, Leo XIV revealed that for him, leadership means walking with his flock, not above it. 6. Voicing unity in many tongues. On May 21 and in subsequent audiences, Pope Leo XIV did something extraordinary. He spoke directly in multiple languages, not through a translator, but from his own mind and heart. He began in English, greeting pilgrims from the US, Nigeria, the Philippines, Canada, Australia, and more, saying, "Dear brothers and sisters, I am happy to be with you." The crowd, including English-speaking pilgrims, responded with visible delight, cheers, applause, spontaneous celebration, as he named their homelands and ministered to them in their own tongue. Without pause, Leo switched to Spanish, offering greetings to the faithful from Latin America and Spain, a clear nod to their cultures and devotion. His accent was genuine, his tone, affectionate. Then, in fluent Italian, he addressed pilgrims from Rome, Milan, Naples, and beyond. This trilingual approach wasn't just symbolic. It signaled inclusion, belonging, and genuine attention to the Church's vast richness. By speaking in their languages, Pope Leo removed barriers. He affirmed that every culture, every family, and every pilgrim is seen not as distant observers, but as integral to the Church's communion. Embedded in these greetings was a deeper message: unity in diversity. Through his own voice in English, Spanish, and Italian, Leo proclaimed a global church bound not by uniformity, but by shared love, hope, and peace. 7. Recognizing the hidden workers. Just days before a major public event, Pope Leo XIV turned his attention to those usually unseen, the Vatican's silent backbone, 5,000 employees who serve behind the scenes. In the vast Paul VI audience hall on May 24, a gathering filled with gardeners, archivists, secretaries, guards, shop clerks, and Vatican library staff, Leo greeted every soul personally. A simple promise unfolded. He reinstated the centuries-old conclave bonus, awarding €500 to each employee as a tangible thank you for their tireless, often unrecognized service during the sede vacante. He said, "Popes come and go, the Curia remains." That small sum, only a few €100s, became symbolic. It was a gesture that honored their continuity, their dignity, and the silent devotion that keeps Vatican life moving. In a moment that felt more like a pastor among parishioners than a pontiff to employees, he stood among them saying, "This is not the time for programmatic speeches, this is the moment to thank you." He extended his hand, blessed their work, and acknowledged their role as the institutional memory of the Church. Leo's recognition of the Curia wasn't about bureaucracy. It was about the humble lifeblood of the Church, those whose daily labor sustains every papal mass, every apostolic mission, every visitor passing through St. Peter's Square. By honoring the hidden workers, Pope Leo XIV revealed a leadership style rooted in gratitude, solidarity, and a reverent confidence in the Church's continuity. Next, we turn from hidden caretakers to how he honors spiritual memory, the saints and predecessors already resting in Vatican stone. 8. Honoring the past, remembering Pope Francis. In late May, as the Church marked 1 month since Pope Francis's peaceful passing on April 21, Pope Leo XIV paused amid his busy schedule to invite the faithful into remembrance. At his May 21 general audience, Leo gently reminded the crowd, "We cannot conclude this meeting without remembering with great gratitude our beloved Pope Francis, who returned to the Father's house just 1 month ago." But these were not just public words. In a deeply intimate moment, just days earlier, the new pontiff slipped quietly into St. Mary Major Basilica. There, before the simple tomb of Pope Francis, he knelt and spent several minutes in silent prayer. Witnesses describe him laying a gentle hand on the marble slab and placing a solitary white rose, an echo of personal tenderness and spiritual lineage, honoring both a predecessor and a brother in Christ. From there, he moved wordlessly to the nearby icon of Mary. Salus Populi Romani, salvation of the Roman people, a beloved symbol frequented by Francis. In silence, Leo knelt, echoing the pilgrimages of his predecessor, reaffirming continuity and devotion. These quiet pilgrimages spoke volumes: Leo's humility, his acknowledgement of a spiritual heritage, and his promise to carry forward a legacy built on prayer, mercy, and memory. By merging public gratitude with private devotion, he reminded the faithful that the Church is ever living, rooted not in single leaders but in an unbroken lineage of love and service. And with that, Pope Leo XIV stands on the shoulders of giants, honoring the past while carrying the torch of hope for tomorrow. Up next, we explore how he's bringing that legacy into homes and families worldwide. 9. Champion of Family, Pentecost Jubilee. June 1, Pentecost Sunday, the sun-drenched heart of St. Peter's Square brimmed with more than 60,000 pilgrims from 131 nations, gathered not for politics, but for family, faith, and future. Before Mass began, Pope Leo XIV embarked on a 20-minute pilgrimage of presence. In his Pope Mobile, he greeted families, parents, grandparents, toddlers, every wave and smile a living testament to the Church's embrace of the family. He paused for tender moments, hugging a disabled boy, caressing a toddler's cheek, high-fiving children, embracing grandparents. These interactions weren't photo ops, they were gestures of a shepherd fully present in the lives of his flock. When the liturgy began, Leo led portions of the Mass in song, his clear, melodic voice rising above the square. In his homily, he delivered a message that echoed through every generation. The family is the cradle of humanity's future. He emphasized that families are not ideals, they're living signs of unity, grounded in the gospel and vital to nurturing faith from generation to generation. Drawing on the Last Supper, he called marriage the measure of true love between a man and a woman, total, faithful, fruitful. He extended his prayer as beyond Rome. In the Regina Caeli that followed, he prayed for families affected by wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, calling the world to see in families a sign of peace, in society and in the world. In those 20 minutes, Pope Leo XIV wove together song, blessing, prayer, and proclamation, holding up families as the cradle of hope, the church of home, and the foundation of unity. It was a papal moment rooted in flesh and spirit, personal, pastoral, and profoundly hopeful. 10. A beautiful surprise, human, heart-led leadership. As his first month draws to a close, Pope Leo XIV has revealed himself not as a distant figurehead, but as a joyful and relational shepherd, a surprising presence in every charged glance and gentle smile. Behind the scenes, he shared light-hearted jokes with Vatican staff, exchanging laughter with guards, secretaries, and assistants, reminding them, "We serve together," bridging the divide between Pope and people. In quiet recesses of Rome's sacred places, he has knelt in solemn prayer, by candlelight, before icons, showing a spiritual depth and humility that goes beyond public ritual. On street level, he's continued his gentle Pope Mobile circuit, blessing children, hugging those in need, placing a fatherly hand on the weary, his presence both tangible and tender. He's even brought the cadence of ancient Marian hymns into new life, chanting them with the bright exuberance of a child, inviting the faithful into worship that's heartfelt and alive. All of this adds up to a single truth: Pope Leo's papacy is a beautiful surprise, not defined by grand designs or distant symbolism, but by genuine love, daily presence, and service. His first month has been confirmation that true leadership is far deeper than authority. It's found in the heart, in shared humanity, in every small gesture that speaks of divine care. In just 1 month, Pope Leo XIV has woven a living tapestry of compassionate gestures, quiet blessings, heartfelt jokes with Vatican staff, spontaneous hugs, and ancient hymns chanted with pure joy. These small, personal moments resonate so deeply because they show a heart-led papacy, one rooted not in ceremony, but in love, presence, and service to every member of the flock. These gestures reflect a shepherd's heart echoing the gospel itself, bringing Christ's peace to each person, to every family, and across the world. What began May 8 has blossomed into a beautiful surprise, a papacy defined by genuine tenderness. If leadership truly means lifting hearts and restoring hope, then Pope Leo XIV has shown us the way.